Serien hedder Kvinden med en tung kuffert, og det du hører nu er del 3.
Did this true crime podcast get in the way of a successful conviction? In Denmark, the trial of a Norwegian woman accused of fraud was briefly threatened by this hit podcast. It's called The Woman with the Heavy Suitcase in English, and it covered claims about her activity. Lawyers acting on her behalf raised the concern that she might not get a fair trial because of it, but happily, none of the judges had listened. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison last month and banned from entering Denmark for 12 years, a ruling which she has appealed. Netflix has self-censored an episode of this in Saudi Arabia.
The Saudis were struggling to explain the disappearance of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. They said he left their consulate safely.
That's Patriot Act, and government regulators there requested the removal of this episode about journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Listen Notes reveals that there are 2,676 podcast episodes concerning the journalist, not all of which may be positive to the Saudi government. A new smart subscribe plugin for WordPress sites launched yesterday, and it promises to display only relevant buttons to help turn website visitors into subscribers. Like Book Club, but for podcasts, Podcast Brunch Club's listening list for January 2019 is community responses to disability. Sean Howard has written a set of posts about how to get the best out of Patreon, and part 5, posted today, discusses use of a new Patreon feature, a special offer. Meanwhile, Tanner Campbell highlights alternatives to Patreon. You can support Podnews via Patreon or directly at podnews.net/support. And this could be making it onto TV.
From the Boston Globe and Wondery, I'm Bob Hohler, and this is Gladiator.
The podcast's television rights have been optioned by FX, a US television network. As the New York Times reports, Hollywood is buying hit podcasts in the race for content.